Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi there. So my name is Khairatunnisa. You can call me Khaira for short. My student ID number is 25011921. I'm from class NK1, English Literature from the Faculty of Language and Art, University of Padang. So I make this video for project with Miss Fitrawati in basic reading subject. This is the fourth project. So in this video, I'm going to talk about three important things of reading and writing. They are main idea, reference words, and transition words. First, let's talk about main idea. Main idea is the most important point in a sentence or a paragraph. It tells us what the writer is mostly talking about in a text. When we look for the main idea, we can ask ourselves questions like, what is this text about? Or what does the writer want me to understand about the text? There are two types of main idea. The first type is stated or explicit main idea. This means the main idea is written clearly in the text. We can usually find it at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the paragraph because it is clearly stated. And this type of main idea is easier to find. While the second type is unstated or implicit main idea. This type of main idea is not written directly. Instead, we must understand it by reading all the details and examples. To find an unstated main ideas, we must look at what ideas are repeated and think about what all the sentences have in common. This type of main idea is a little bit more difficult because the main idea is hidden. Now, let's move on to reference words. So, reference words are words that replace or point to the another word or idea that has already mentioned before. Writers use reference words so they don't have to repeat the same words many times. Common reference words including like she, he, it, and more, you can see here on the picture. So, reference words help make sentence smoother and it helps to connect ideas in a paragraph. And the last one is transition words. Transitions are words or phrases that connect ideas between sentences or paragraphs. They show the relationship between ideas. For example, some transition add information, some give examples, some show contrast, and others show cause and effect. Words like and, however, for example, and therefore are the common example for transitions. Transitions help a reader to follow the writer's thoughts and understand about how ideas are connected. So in conclusion, the main idea tells us about the most important point. Reference words help to avoid repetition and connect ideas, and transitions show relationship between ideas. I have three texts. So now let's identify it together about the main idea, the reference words, and the transition words. Let's begin from the text 1. The title is Should We Edit Nature by David Ferrier. At the end of August 1939, the German archaeologist Otto Fosing discovered around 200 fragments of carved mammoth ivory at the back of a cave in southern Germany. With war just a week away, Fosing's find was hurriedly collected in a box, where it lay unnoticed in the museum archive for decades. It wasn't until the 1960s, when the shards were inventoried, that something astonishing emerged out of the heap of broken pieces. They formed an incomplete figurine with a chimeric mix of features: the body of a person and the head and forearms of a cave lion. Subsequent excavations in the 1970s found further pieces of what has come to be called the Lion Man of Hohenstein-Stadel, carved from a mammoth tusk around 40,000 years ago. It is one of the earliest examples of the human capacity to imagine forms that don't exist in nature. So the important point the writer wants to talk about is carved from a mammoth tusk around 40,000 years ago. It is one of the earliest examples of the human capacity to imagine forms that don't exist in nature. That is the main idea. It is stated main idea. The reference words show in this paragraph, like it, they. For example, it lay unnoticed in a museum archive for decades. It wasn't until the 1960s. So it referred to 200 fragments of carved mammoth ivory at the back of a cave in southern Germany. And they form an incomplete figurine. It's referred to carved mammoth too. Second paragraph. Every age of human history since the Lion Man has tried to think beyond nature. In Hesiod composed around 700 BCE, the chimera was a compound being the head of lion, the body of a dragon, and a snake's head tail, and an extra god's head protruding from its back for good measure. In W.B. Yeats' poem, The Second Coming, 1920, a similar rock beast is a harbinger of ruin. The main idea in this paragraph is every age of human history since the Lion Man has tried to think beyond nature. It's on the beginning of the paragraph. The reference word is in the last paragraph. A similar rock beast is the harbinger of ruin. So it refers to the creature that has been mentioned before. And the transition they use in this paragraph is only N. In our own time, the chimeras are something different. Living things in every part of the biosphere have been forced by climate change, pollution, and the spread of non-native species to adapt their bodies and behaviors to a human planet. They may not have visibly emerged from like the lion man, but they do bear the impression of another species. As the main idea is at the beginning of the paragraph. In our own time, the chimeras are something different. That is the main idea. The reference words to adapt their bodies, there, and they may have not visibly merged, and they do bear the impression. So they and there it refer to living things in every part of the biosphere. And the transitions are and, it shows continuation, and but show contrast. Fourth paragraph. It wasn't our intention that humanity would become the planet's greatest evolutionary force. Yet the fact that we are confronts us with an urgent and difficult question. Some animals, plants, and insects can adapt, but for many the pace of change is too great. Should we try to save them by deliberately intervening in their evolution? The main idea is the fact that we are confronts us with an urgent and difficult question. The reference words are it wasn't our intention, it, and should we try to save them, and by deliberately intervening in there. So it, them, and there. It refers to intention that humanity. Them and there refers to some animals, plants, and insects. And the transition words, there are yet, and but. Yet it show contrast, same like but. The last paragraph, the emergence of precision gene editing technology like CRISPR-Cas9, which acts like a molecular scalpel so fine it can sweep even single letter of DNA, has made a world of chimeric species possible. For some, splicing the DNA of extinct megafauna like their wolves and mammoth into grey wolves or Asian elephants is an opportunity to resurrect a long-vanished world. But with synthetic biology, we could potentially save the world of the present, intervening in the evolution of vulnerable species so they can survive changing climates and collapsing ecosystems. Plants could be edited to cope with drought or to improve photosynthesis in crops. Microbes could be programmed to sense pollution and consume toxins, and even the marine plastic that glued to the digestive tracts of seabirds. With assisted evolution, we might spare coral reef systems from collapse. So the main idea is at the end of the paragraph. With assisted evolution, we might spare coral reef system from collapse. Reference word, there's an it, they, we. For the transition word, there are for some, and, but, and so. Next, let's move on to the second text. The title is The Model of Catastrophe by David Stanford. Today's complex climate models aren't equivalent to reality. In fact, computer models of Earth are very different to reality, particularly on regional, national, and local scales. They don't represent many aspects of the physical processes that we know are important for climate change, which means we can rely on them to provide detailed local predictions. This is a concern because human-induced climate change is all about our understanding of the future. This understanding empowers us. It enables us to make informed decisions by telling us about the consequences of our actions. It helps us consider what the future will be like if we act strongly to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, if we act only half-heartedly, or if we take no action at all. Such information enables us to assess the level of investment that we believe is worthwhile as individuals, communities, and nations. It enables us to balance action on climate change against other demands on our finances, such as health, education, security, and culture. The main idea is at the first sentence of paragraph. Today's complex climate models aren't equivalent to reality. And the reference words they, them, it, we, this. For example, like this. They don't represent many aspects. They and them refers to computer models. It enables us, it helps us consider. So the it is referred to understanding about the human-induced climate change. It's all about our understanding of the future. We is referred to humanity. The transition words are in fact, particularly, because, and or. Second paragraph. For many of us, these issues are approached through the lens of personal experience and personal cares. We want to know what changes to expect where we live, in the places we know, and in the regions where we have our roots. We want local climate predictions. Predictions conditioned on the choices that our societies make. Yeah, that's it, the main idea. We want local climate predictions. Predictions conditioned on the choices that our societies make. The only transition word is and, give continuation, and reference words are these issues, and we. We want, we live, we know, we have our. So where do we get them? Well, nowadays, most of these predictions originate from complicated computer models of the climate system, so-called Earth System Models, ESMS. These models are ubiquitous in climate change science, and for good reason. The increasing greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are driving the climate system into a never-before-seen state. That means the past cannot be a good guide to the future, and predictions based simply on historic observations cannot be reliable. The information isn't the observational data, so no amount of processing can extract it. Climate prediction is therefore about our understanding of the physical processes of climate, not about data processing. And since there are so many physical processes involved, everything from the movement of heat and moisture around the atmosphere to interaction of oceans with ice sheets, this naturally leads to the use of computer models. The main idea is on the first sentence. Well, nowadays, most of these predictions originate from complicated computer models of the climate system, so-called Earth System Models. The reference word are them. So where do we get them? Them is referred to predictions that I've mentioned before. These models are referred to computer models. And the transition words are well, so, and, therefore. Yeah. Therefore, in this sentence, it shows about cause and effect. Here's the problem. Models aren't equivalent to reality. So what can we do? One option is to make the models better, make them more detailed and more complicated. That thought raises an important question: when is a model sufficiently realistic to predict something as complex as climate change? When will the models be good enough? We don't have an answer to this question. Indeed, scientists have hardly begun to study this problem. and some argue that these models might never be sufficiently accurate to make multi-decadal local climate predictions. The main idea is one option is to make the models better, make them more detailed and more complicated. It's on the first paragraph. The reference words are this and this. This question and this problem is referred to the question when will the models be good enough? These models are referred to the computer models. The transition words are so, indeed, and. The last paragraph, nevertheless, changing the way we use ESMS could provide a different and better way to generate the local climate information we seek. Doing so involves embracing uncertainty as a key part of our knowledge about climate change. It involves stepping back and accepting that what we want is not precise predictions, but robust predictions. Even if robustness involves accepting large uncertainties in what we can know about the future. The main idea, changing the way we use ESMS, could provide a different and better way to generate the local climate information we seek. The reference words are it. It involves stepping back. Alright, the third text or the last text with title Life Happened Fast by Michael Marshall. Here's a story you might have read before in a popular science book or seen in a documentary. It's the one about early Earth as a lifeless, volcanic hellscape. When our planet was newly formed, the story goes, the surface was a barren wasteland of sharp rocks, strewn with lava flows from erupting volcanoes. The air was an unbreathable fume of gases. There was little or no liquid water. These ice things were starting to settle down. A barrage of meteorites, tens of kilometers across, came pummeling down from space, obliterating entire landscapes and sending vast plumes of debris high into the sky. This barren world persisted for hundreds of millions of years. Finally, the environment settled down enough that oceans could form, and the conditions were finally right for microscopic life to emerge. The main idea in this sentence is unstated, or it's not written in the paragraph. So we should understand about the paragraph first, so we can finally find the main idea. And the main idea is early Earth was extremely hostile and lifeless for a long time before conditions finally became suitable for the emergence of life. The reference words are when our are reference to humanity, and this barren world are referred to the word that has been mentioned before. And the transition words are finally, show, time sequence, and just as. Next paragraph, that's the story paleontologists and geologists told for many decades, but a rough or evidence suggests it is completely wrong. So the main idea is that's the story paleontologists and geologists told for many decades. And the reference words are that's the story, that story refer to the first paragraph, it is completely wrong. So it referred to the story. And the transition word is but. The young Earth was not hellish, or at least not for long in geological terms, and crucially, life formed quickly after the planet solidified. Perhaps astonishingly quickly. It may be that first life emerged within just millions of years of the planet's origin. The main idea is the young Earth was not hellish, or at least not for long in geological terms. And the reference words, the planet is referred to the young Earth, and it. The transition words are and or. With hindsight, it is strange that the idea of hellscape Earth ever become as established as it did. There was never any direct evidence of such lethal conditions. However, that lack of evidence may be the explanation. Humans are very prone to the theories wildly when there's no evidence, and then to become extremely attached to their speculation. That same tendency, becoming ever attached to ideas that have only tenuous support, has also bedeviled research into the origins of life. Every journalist who has written about the origins of life has a few horror stories about bad-tempered researchers unwilling to tolerate dissent from their treasured ideas. Main idea is in the beginning of the paragraph, so the reference words are it did, it refers to the hellscape earth, and there's speculation, and there's treasure. The transitions word are however and the last paragraph. Now that the idea of hellscape earth has so comprehensively collapsed, we need to discard some lingering preconceptions about how life began and embrace a more open-minded approach to this most challenging of problems. Whereas many researchers once assumed it took a chance even within a very long time scale for Earth's biosphere to emerge, that increasingly looks untenable. Life happened fast, and any theory that seeks to explain its origins now it needs to explain why. So the last paragraph, the main idea, life happened fast, and any theory that seeks to explain its origins now needs to explain why. Reference words are this, that, and it. This most challenging of problems is referred to the problems. It refers to the theory, any theory that seeks to explain. Last, the transition words and whereas. Okay, I think that's all enough from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video will help to understand about main idea, reference words, and transition. Please forgive me if there was any mistake I made in this video. So, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.